And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of 31 More Days. I'm Brian Carruthers, and let's welcome in the man of the hour, Ed Troop. How you doing, Ed?
There I am. What's going on?
Wow, here we go. Good, man. How many days of quarantine is this right now? Are we on day 2000? I wanted to give a countdown of where we were at because it feels like it feels like day 3000.
I think this is what, the third week now, or we're ending the second or the third week? I think it's the third week, the end of the third week.
Yes.
Of, being quarantined.
And it seems like people are starting to rebel in different ways. You're starting to see people that are fighting back on Governor Wolf's message. There's people, I feel like you're in the grocery store now and you're seeing people get a lot closer. I feel like maybe people are just naturally ready to move past it, but it seems like that would be the worst thing to do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think there was some promising news today that came out of the state of California that it seems like things aren't going as crazy. So they are complimenting everybody in the state of California and the state of Washington that they're doing it right out there. Now we just need that to happen out here on the East Coast, because right now it's a disaster in places like New York City, New Orleans, I think Chicago, Ohio. But Pittsburgh, I think we're doing okay, right? I mean, we're going up, but not, I don't think, as crazy as some of the other places.
I went to the bank today. I had an appointment that was scheduled amid the corona issues, and I went. It was a First Commonwealth Bank in Robinson, and it was locked. You had to meet there, and then you knocked, and they let you in. And I have to say, I don't know how, and I want to, we have a very special guest tonight, Sally Wiggin. I want to ask her, but I just don't know how we're going to get back. I feel like there's already PTSD, and just being in the bank today, seeing people, and how close can you get, and someone's, not close talking you, but like not coronavirus close talking me like 4 feet. And I'm like, wow, should you be this close? Am I breathing it in? Like,
right.
People who are just maybe neurotic by nature, I don't know how they ever get back.
Well, starting tomorrow, really, you should be going everywhere like this. This is what you need to be doing now. Right?
Is that right?
This is what you need to be doing.
So I'm not mask confident. I don't know what it is. That looks really good on you. You look like an ice cream cone right now.
Well, I remember when Mike Mitchell, who played safety for the Steelers, when they announced him, he used to run out of the field with this on, with a terrible towel as a mask. He was doing that like 4 years ago.
So, he was ahead of his time.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it looks really good. Let me say hi to Kristen, who's watching, Kelly, Jason, Lori, Jim, Patty, Kirsten. Hi, guys. Our friend Ray said he carries a 6-foot stick to keep people back now. I guess that's the new thing. That's not a bad idea. Yesterday, I was on the trail with my kids, and there's a picture that they put, and there's a picture of a llama and between two stick figures, and say, keep a llama away from somebody.
So is a llama 6 feet, I guess? I never knew that.
I never knew. Well, hello to everybody, and obviously, Ed, no one's here to hear from us tonight. We're so excited, so let's just get to it, because I don't think she's going to stick around much longer to hear us rap. So let's welcome her in. We're so excited to have Sally Wiggin with us tonight. Hi, Sally.
Hey, how are you? No, I can't hear the other side of the conversation, so I was disappointed.
Oh no, you can't see Ed?
No, I can't. Am I supposed to be able to see him?
Hello, Sally. How are you?
Oh, Ed, I don't think Sally can hear you.
Oh, she can't.
I can't hear him either. No, that's
no.
Disappointing. What should I have done? Made it so it's. I see the pictures of the people who were typing in, but I didn't see him. Okay. I must have done something wrong. Trust me, it's me. It's not.
Ed, click out and then click back in.
All right, I'll be back.
Wait,
there
you
go.
I do that? Oh, I don't.
Sally, welcome. So happy to have you tonight.
I'm delighted to be here. I'm really delighted. You just clicked out and clicked back in. Do I need to do that? Do I need to click out and click back in?
No, you're perfect. We see you and we hear you.
Good. Anyway.
We sent out a message and said, Sally's going to be on the show tonight. And of all the messages we got back, and people have questions, and people are generally obsessed with what you're eating right now, so we'll get to that. But every person just said, oh, by the way, tell Sally we love her. How does that build over all these years?
If they really knew me, Brian, they wouldn't. I'm a terrible person, and getting worse as this goes on.
Are you feel like you're generally cranky, and now this is making it worse?
No, I'm becoming angry with people who don't pay attention to the seriousness of this.
Okay.
It's so funny. Everybody is such a big fan of The Walking Dead and World War Z and apocalyptic pandemics that do leave the victims as subhuman. But that's the only part that's really different than this. This is the future that we've all feared, and to try to I think we will get past it, because I think we have the scientists, I think we have the will, but I think we've become such a culture of narcissism. I have a book that's about the culture of narcissism in our country, that we think we're owed the right not to do this, that it's about what we want. And
is that why you think people are complaining right now?
Huh?
And you feel like that's why people are complaining right now, that they can't get out, they can't go to the Pirate game, they don't understand.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not. But I mean, there have been books written about the lifestyle that we live in this country. We've been really lucky, although there are lots of people who aren't. And at the same time that I'm saying that, I'm going to completely contradict myself. I have been sobbing when I see, both locally and nationally, these wonderful videos of people reaching out, people donating to Feeding America, to 412 Food Rescue, to the Pittsburgh Food Bank, nonprofits who have had to cancel fundraisers because of this, asking for money because now they're not going to have their main fundraiser. An example is Power, which helps women in recovery, and people step up. And so I'm going to contradict myself, because I'm saying, I'm getting really angry. But then at the same time, I wake up in the morning and I see on social media wonderful posts by people, and I cry, and I'm frustrated because I want to go out and help. I want to be I don't want to be a healthcare worker, but I really wish I could be. I wish I had the knowledge to go help. And so I did something a couple of days ago that was probably stupid. My PCP, I have heart disease and have had it since I was 47 actually. And so I've learned to live with it. I've gotten much better, but there are aspects of it that if I were to get the virus badly, it would be bad. I am in the highest risk group. Cardiovascular disease is the very highest risk group.
So your self-quarantine right now is not
probably
the way
going to last until June.
Wow, just to be safe.
That's what my doctor told me.
Wow.
So what are you doing?
So you want to talk about pounding your head? Well, let's put it this way. At least I said to her, we had a FaceTime with my appointment. And this is my PCP. My cardiologist might disagree because he knows that I'm much better now. So he might disagree, and I need to talk to him about it. But what she said to me is, and she's a super doctor. She's really fabulous. And she said, she didn't use the word alarm. She said, but what I'm seeing and hearing, and these are from other people probably in other cities or is that even healthcare workers who are wearing the very best in PPE, personal protection equipment, they're catching it. It is highly contagious, highly contagious.
Well, that's the scariest part.
And some people are saying that 6 feet isn't enough. And there was another article, an article in the Atlantic. There's still disagreement about whether it's an aerosol virus or whether it's just does it stay in the air? Does it drop to the ground? There's still so much they're trying to rapidly find out. And so it was really sobering. I was laughing and I said, well, I guess I was anticipating that I'm going to be here self-quarantined until mid-May. And she said, make that probably longer.
Wow.
And I said, what?
No.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to beat my head against a wall. And, but then it's so I can understand people out there who are being told don't do this, and they say, "Oh, the heck with it, I'm going to do it." And I don't use the word heck most of the time. I use another word. I don't know
Sure.
what to say on this or not. I've got to be careful with my
You
language.
can say whatever you want.
Well, and so the next morning I was talking to I have these wonderful young people who I've mentored or just become friends with that I've worked, because I was in the business of a business that's mainly young people, and they become kind of like surrogate children. And so, they've all offered to do things for me. And one of them has children. And I thought, why would I ask them to shop for me when they have kids, they have families? I don't, I'm divorced. I don't have children, and I should just go. The heck with it. I should go.
No, Sally, you can't go.
No,
They're telling you don't go.
Well, no, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I had on. It's a polar fleece mask that people who have heart disease or lung disease use when they ski, and it's like it is over your nose and it goes to your ear. It's the same mask, only it's polar fleece, so it's really hot. But it's thick. It's thicker than a bandana. And so I had that on. I wore a rain suit. I had a hat on. Then I had the hood on, and it's pulled up to here.
So you look like Outbreak. You were an Outbreak person.
Yeah.
But aren't you nervous?
And then I ran. I had bags. I did not use a cart. And then I ran through the store. I was running and I dropped my apples and they went everywhere. So then I had
to leave them. Just go.
And no. I picked them up and then I washed them when I got home. And I had gloves on, of course. And I have this stuff called Bactrikill. And I spray it everywhere. In fact, I've sprayed it on the hands of a McDonald's worker who was handing my drink to me. And I was like spraying the drink and her hand. And
Sally, you're living my dream life. I don't have the nerve to do what you're doing, but inside,
no, but I
I'm
should be
panicking.
doing it. I'm the last person who should be doing this. If I get sick, if I get this, I stand a chance of dying. And
but what about your persona? Just to go out,
what persona?
Meaning that you're recognizable, and so people want to touch you.
Trust me,
People want to touch you, right, and shake your hand and hug you.
You'd be amazed how people don't I am now past the point of people recognizing me.
Really?
No, there's no way.
No way. You are a legend, Sally, in this.
Come on, Sally, people know you, right?
Well, if you could see the way I go out, even when I didn't look like a stormtrooper, I actually sort of looked like, instead of dressed in white, I'm dressed in black. I looked like a stormtrooper from The Rise of Skywalker, which I actually liked a lot. A lot of people didn't like it, but I liked it.
But as we get back, though, will you feel like you're not there? I mean, you obviously have some more time that you need to be away from people. Just a concern that people aren't shaking your hand, saying hello, wanting to talk to you. That would make me want to stay inside forever. No,
that's not a big part of what my life was or is.
I
don't get off on that. In fact, I did something that was really rude. And I did it because I don't think of people recognizing me. And it was early on. It was the first couple of days. And I think I in an interview with City Paper, I talked about it. But it was the second day. I flew back from Yellowstone National Park just the day before they started talking about the quarantine, before they realized this was really bad. And I was terrified. It was March 14th. And I was in the Minneapolis airport for 3 hours. And I literally sort of barricaded myself in a corner where I wouldn't let anybody. And then I had someone sitting next to me on one leg of the flight and then no one on the next one. But I was really nervous and I sprayed everything with this Bactrikill and Purell and washing my hands. And, I would put Purell on my face.
Can you do that? I didn't know you were even able to allow to do that.
Well, it's funny.
And so I couldn't wash it, so I started putting it around my eyes. You're probably not supposed to do that. But anyway, you
may be blind, but you will be free of all germs that can get you.
No bacteria.
That's true. But so I got back and I thought I need to really stock up and get some stuff, because there had been dog sitters here for like a week. And so I went to pick up a prescription, and there was a line of people, about seven people. And I'd say this is the 16th of March. So they're telling us the distance at that point. And they were all between 55 and 70.
Okay.
And there was 6 inches between each one of them. 6 inches.
Not 6
People
feet.
don't get it.
No,
People
not
do
6
not
feet,
believe that this is real.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
now, granted, this was early on. I mean, but people had been saying it. They had been really trying to emphasize it. And I stopped. And this is what happens when you think your opinion matters. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. But you think it does because for 40 years, people have told you it does. But it doesn't. And I stopped and I looked around, and I had sweatpants on, no makeup, bifocals, a hat, and I don't know, some nasty dog walking coat. And so I said, you guys are endangering your lives by being so close together.
Right.
And they all looked at me like I had told them that I was going to shoot them.
Right.
No, actually they were pissed.
Okay. Yeah.
You could tell it. And especially this one older woman, like, how dare you say that to me? So I ran to an empty aisle and hid there until everyone in that line had gotten their drugs. Because I was so embarrassed. Where did Brian go? He went away.
Sally,
Brian, are you back?
still there?
Sally, can you hear Brian?
Brian?
This is Ed.
No.
Ed. I don't hear Brian. He went away. Now I hear Brian. Where's Brian?
Did we lose you, Ed?
Am I here? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No, I can see and hear Ed. I cannot see Brian.
Uh-oh. Hang on.
Well, while Brian's trying to work it out, Sally, let me ask you a question about during your career. Have you ever seen anything like that? Did you ever cover anything to like this magnitude that we're seeing right now?
No, never. Nothing.
Wow.
You wish that you were covering it, Sally?
No.
You're glad that you're out of it.
I don't. I'm going to out myself now. I went into this business not to be a reporter. I went in it to be a sportscast, to be a sports reporter.
Oh, wow.
I never studied this in school. My master's is in Asian studies. I was going to be a professor of pre-modern Chinese history.
Wow.
Professor Sally Wiggin.
Never.
And I wanted to be a zoologist when I was a senior in high school, but that was my love. It's still my great love. It is wildlife conservation and zoology. But I had been a competitive swimmer, and then I was a swimming coach of an AAU team, and I loved it so much that I thought I don't want to be part of academia, and I said, I don't want, but coaching doesn't pay anything. What could I do? And some friends of mine who were actually Olympic swimmers, I was never good. My sister was a really good.
What was your best stroke?
Freestyle. Short relay anchor for relays. If I had people depending on me, I could swim much faster than if I swam just for me.
Okay, it's psychologically the same as you. You deliver the same thing. People are depending on you. It gives you that right.
And that's why my splits were much faster than I normally would swim when I was the anchor. But anyway, so what happened is some friends of mine said, "Oh," I said, "but God, I'll never get a job. Writing this thesis has been so hard. Oh, writing is so hard." And one of them said, "Women are starting to do sports. You could try that." And I said, "Well, I could go back to school and maybe study that." And so I got a job as a sort of a receptionist in a little radio. And I was going to go back to school, a little radio station. And a guy named Tony Bruno, look him up, Google him. He's still really well known, but he was the first guy who was a partner with Golick on ESPN, and he was the star on ESPN radio. It was called Bruno and Golick, Bruno and Golick. Anyway, Tony heard my voice. They called me up and wanted me to do a voiceover. They heard my voice. They were looking for a street reporter. I had no experience as a journalist. And they hired me and they taught me.
Wow.
And that's how it happened. But so, and then as time went on, it was easier to get a job as a news person because sports jobs weren't as, and it was harder to get into sports. And I never did anything that was really hard. And then I made a choice to go in one direction. And then when there was an opportunity to do a domestic correspondent network with my agent, she said, there is that. And then, or you keep going down the local anchor path. And there was an opportunity to go to New York at WCBS, and this job was offered, and I chose to stay here because of personal reasons. I was dating somebody. We weren't engaged, but I thought maybe we would be getting married. And because I was always scared. I was always scared. The idea of going, I mean, my dad died when I was 14, so I was always frightened that something horrible was going to happen. So when you ask me, do I miss it? No, I don't. I'm doing now what I always wanted to do. I'm traveling around the world. I'm doing wildlife conservation trips. I miss covering the Steelers. And a couple of times I covered the Stanley Cups, and I miss that.
But you still fill in, don't you? Still do some specials and some different programs?
No. When I retired, I was done.
Oh, you're done.
When I retired, that was it. That was the end. Yeah, I've not done anything.
When was that official? A few years ago.
Brian's gone again, isn't he?
Yeah,
I can see he's gone. Is this my fault?
No,
you're gone.
You're not doing anything. I think he's going. I think he's joining us back here in a second.
Okay. I love your stair. Are those your stairs behind you? I like those.
Yes.
Oh, you're in another room. Oh, is that a nice room?
Thank you. Sally likes my dining room there, Brian.
Yeah.
I love your dining room. Ed's ready to put some new wood floors.
Recently redid it.
That's really nice.
Ed's ready to put some new wood floors in.
No. What were you saying, Ed?
So I was just saying when you officially retired, because we ran into you, Brian and I were talking about this the other day. We were at the Steelers at Washington Redskins Monday night opener a few years ago. And when we were leaving,
that was my next. Oh no, that was the year before. Yeah.
Okay, because that's when we were leaving the parking lot, me, Brian, and his older brother, and we saw it. We literally, you guys were walking right next to us. Yourself, Andrew Stocky, and Guy Junker.
Did you say hi?
Oh, of course. Yeah, bro. We got a picture of you with Brian somewhere.
Do you know what? I knew you looked familiar. Have I seen you other than this?
Myself? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, both of us through different charity events when we were on B94 and
oh my God, yes. Okay. What am I talking about? Of course. See, that's the other thing. I had a mini stroke. So I'm always frightened that I don't remember things quite like I used to, because that happened before I retired. It happened in 2017. But I haven't had anything.
We have to keep you safe. All these ailments, I'm concerned. We got to keep you safe. Get you out of this grocery store.
I always put it this way. My mother and father should not have bred. They both had cardiovascular disease. They had it, and their relatives had it. So yeah, I was doomed from the moment I came out of the womb.
Hey Sally, what about you said your love of sports, and the last time we saw you in person was in DC. What if there's no football season this year? Is that opening day for me?
I'm going to be really upset. You know what? I love hockey. Hockey was the first. Tony Bruno taught me how to cover hockey. It was the first sport I learned to cover. But I have to tell you, I have finally admitted it. As much as I love hockey, and I, as a child, I loved baseball. I played baseball. My ex-husband was a professional baseball player. But football, the NFL, I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm finally admitting it to people. And because it is a violent sport, but I loved military history. And when you sit up in a press box and watch a game, it is like watching two, military teams and watching the strategy of each of the generals. And it's just, and yes, I can't imagine not having football. But I don't know why they think they're going to, because from what my doctor told me, I don't think they're going to be able to do it.
Well, you think about football season starts in September, right? And the camps and whatnot. But right now it's April 3rd, and we can't go into a Home Depot with more than 100 people at a time. How can we get from today to kickoff on September 6th when we are sitting amongst 60,000 people all breathing on each other? I don't think it's a button.
Well, if everybody really would, it can be mitigated. But China did it using draconian measures, and we still don't know to what degree it's been successful. They may be saying it's successful, but we have no idea. And so, but if we do what they want us to do, we really do, and everybody does it, then it'll stop rising and the curve will flatten. And once it flattens, then you can really begin to. And the other thing is if they really do with the work of an entire world of scientists come up with a vaccine, but also come up with something to treat it. I mean, something that is proven to treat it, to ameliorate it, like a Tamiflu. Mm-hmm. That would also help. There are so many possibilities, but the only way that you can ensure that those possibilities get a chance to be proven is for us to right now suck it up and social distance and quarantine.
And hide in the grocery stores.
I have to tell you, but I didn't finish that. What I did was I jumped in. I kept spraying myself. And everything I touched, like I sprayed my bananas. I sprayed the apples, and then I came back here and washed them. But I sprayed them with the Bactrikill. I mean, I have so much Bactrikill, I'll have it until the 5 years from now. But anyway, the moment I ran into the house, I kept spraying everything. I tore off all of my clothes immediately. I still had the gloves on. Threw them into the washing machine, tore the gloves off, and ran into the shower. It literally took maybe 2 minutes to do that. So that.
Oh, what a visual, Sally! This is incredible. This is the insight we were hoping for.
but you know what? And then yesterday, I got really bored, and the thing is, all of my friends work, so they don't call me during the day, and they've either got kids or husbands. And so I get really bored. And so I watch TV or I eat pancakes. I love pancakes.
That's what everyone wants to know. What are you eating right now to stay
pancakes? Good? I love pancakes. But I'm going to run out because I'm going to make me some. Oh God, my mother would slap me for that grammar. I'm going to make some for myself, for me, when I get off with you guys. Except I have to watch Blacklist. Blacklist comes on at 8.
What? I don't watch that. But what's in the pancakes tonight, Sally? Do you do chocolate chips? Do you do?
Oh no! They're healthy pancakes. These are buckwheat. These are. Am I allowed to say the brand?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, it's Kodiak.
Oh, I've had those. That's the good stuff, Sally. You've been
Brian, all of a sudden I'm recognizing your voice.
You've been down a little bit.
All right. No, it's Kodiak, and these are whole wheat, honey. Now whole wheat, so maybe they're not buckwheat. Well, yeah, buckwheat is whole wheat. Whole wheat, honey, and oats. And so it's really easy because I don't cook. Mm-hmm. I make reservations, not food. And only once I made homemade Chinese egg rolls for my husband, and I did make a turkey for my husband once.
Okay, how'd that turn out?
Thanksgiving. It actually was pretty good, and I made homemade stuffing.
Wow, there you go.
Once in my life.
We have some questions for you from people who have been watching. Will you humble yourself and answer some questions from the real people of the world?
No, they're the people of the world.
Yes, the real people.
Your biggest fans.
First question, Sally, from my mom. Are you hopeful that Pitt will create the vaccine?
It's got a good chance.
Yeah.
I think France, though, is making some advances. I think, you know what? There are so many ivory towers that connect, not just from Pitt, but from CMU, that work together. We have a literal cauldron of intellectual elites in this region. And then there's the legacy of Jonas Salk.
Right.
And so I do. What they're talking about is something that's novel and would be much easier and much quicker when you have millions and millions of people that you want to do it with. But it's still, they talked about clinical trials. I was listening this morning to an interview, but once you jump from animals to clinical trials in people, that's about 6 months.
Right. Well, they're saying they may push it a little bit faster. They may push it a little bit faster, but you can't rush it.
You don't want people to die. Well, right. Some people might have to. Did I just say that? I was going to say some people might have to.
Last night. If you were going in and you knew, would you take a medicine as a guinea pig to see if it worked?
I would. Yep. That's why I went to the grocery store. I wasn't going to have people risk their children, by going to the grocery store. So I went.
Hey, Sally, here's a question from Matthew DiGiacomo. Sally, rate Paul Long's sense of humor between 1 and 10, and what's the funniest thing he ever did?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you the funniest thing he ever did. I can't tell you.
Okay.
I can't say it on the air.
Okay.
It involved.
But you rate it between 1 and 10.
It involved Don Cannon.
Well, that would be a good follow-up question to you.
I can't because he would turn his TV up, his little teeny TV. Another thing he did that was funny is he called me one night. He called me Saggy Wiggins.
Okay, Saggy Wiggins.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd been there at least a year. It was just a slip of the tongue. No, and then he would. That's back when we had. But he had this little TV. It was so old and ugly, and he would turn it way up. And
what was he doing with it?
He would watch it while he was typing, but he turned it way up, and you couldn't even hear yourself think it was up so high. And and somebody got very upset with him and I can't go any farther than that. It was very funny when it happened. But another thing he did is Joe DiNardo, he always parked his car in the same place, and Joe DiNardo loved him. And so Joe and Don went and parked his car in another level of the parking lot. And they let him wander around for an hour trying to find it. Because,
a classic.
So I don't know if it was an hour, but it was a half an hour. And then that was mean.
Funny.
But and then he smoked these cigars, and back then you could smoke in a newsroom. And he smoked these cigars, and there was this big, garbage can where everybody put the paper wire copy. Okay. And he didn't care. He just blithely, knocked the ashes off into all that paper. And of course it just went on fire. And there was and there was a glass where all the wire machines were. You remember wire machines. You're not old enough to remember wire machines.
We had one in college at Point Park.
Okay. So you
AP wire.
So anyway, and there was this raging fire in the garbage can. And because of Paul. So those are just a couple of the things.
Sally, what about your favorite Pittsburgh restaurant right now? Do you get out? You said you make reservations.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't tell you. That would be bad.
Inquiring
what are you going to do? Make me do a commercial?
Yeah, right. This is not paid. This is not an official endorsement.
No, I like lots of restaurants. If somebody's buying the food for me, I don't care what it is. I mean, I still eat at fast food restaurants. No, somebody with heart disease should not be doing that. But I take a lot of Lipitor. So
wait, what's you're a fast food junkie
oh my God. And I go to them all.
What's your
sometimes I go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and I eat the chicken while I'm driving.
Sally,
it's just so dangerous. I have the chicken in my
How do you eat fried chicken while you're driving? That's tough. And I'm a big guy, Sally.
It's probably extremely dangerous.
It probably is. I'll say this: I'm a Taco Bell junkie, Sally.
Yeah.
No, I only like the bean burritos.
But
when I go to Taco Bell, I try to be a vegetarian.
When I go to Taco Bell,
I actually try to be a vegetarian, but I fail miserably.
Okay. I treat it like I'm a drug addict. I only take cash so my wife doesn't see my credit card receipts. I eat it while driving like you for Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I throw, if it's garbage night in my neighborhood, I'll throw the wrappers away in my neighbor's garbage can just to hide my addiction.
I know. I hear you. I mean, and I am a recovering addict. I mean, really, literally, I am a recovering addict. So I just transferred it to something else. So, okay. But no, it's what was it I did? I pulled up to a fast food. I've done this twice actually, and I was on the phone with my godchild's mother, who's one of my best friends, and because I was always coming from work, and so I looked in my purse, and I didn't have any money. I just had pennies. I had lots and lots of pennies. So I could only order a little hamburger. And I had to give them like 100-something pennies. And I had some quarters or something. I don't remember what it was. But I came out with this horrible epithet. You probably know what it is. In the speaker, I went, oh, blank. Yeah. I don't have any money.
Sally, this is so insightful. You're living like a Curb Your Enthusiasm life that I love. So
no, I am not Larry David.
I'm just listening. I saw Sally, a giant hovering in get away, and then
Brian's breaking up.
Brian's breaking up.
Uh-oh.
You're breaking up. Are you back? There you go.
Sorry, guys. I just love the Larry David where people would say, guess who came through tonight at the drive-through window and paid in all pennies? Sally Wiggin. No, he didn't. Yeah, paid in all pennies.
Well, thank goodness. I don't think any of those young people knew who I was. So it was a while ago. It was when I almost got carjacked at, do you remember rallies?
Yes.
I was very smart. I don't need to tell that story. That's so stupid. I really almost did get carjacked. It was my quick thinking that kept them from jumping in my car with a gun and putting me. Well, it was when I was working nights. I was anchoring nights, and so there was a rallies in Wilkinsburg, and I would always stop there because my favorite food besides sushi are corn dogs. I love sushi and corn dogs, not together, but I like them both. They're my favorite foods. And now pancakes. Pancakes are another favorite food. And so I was in the line, and I saw these guys walk across and look at the car. And it was a big Chevy Tahoe at the time. And I locked the door just for the heck of it. And then I saw them go into a house. And then they weren't in there for very long. And then they came out. And they started walking toward my car across this vacant lot. And I'm like, this is not good.
Right.
And there was a car in front of me. This is midnight. And then they disappeared. And I had locked my car. Well, I had locked my door. I think the door in the back was not. And I saw in the rearview mirror the guy reach for the handle on the door behind me in my car, on my SUV. And I floored it. And there was a car in front of me, but I floored it and turned the wheel hard, jumped a curb, was able to, because it was a great big Tahoe, I didn't hit the car in front of me, jumped the curb, went around the guy, pulled in. I had already ordered my corn dogs, pulled in to the, pulled in front of the window. And I just said, you better call the Wilkinsburg police. Someone just tried to carjack me, get in my car. I'm going, bye.
That's crazy.
Another story. Someone just said, guess what happened tonight? Sally Wiggin pulled up to my drive-through window and said, Call the police.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I always do. I was very proud of myself because you're
Yeah.
supposed to trust your instincts, and a lot of times women don't because they don't want to. They don't want to be mean or be suspicious of something. And that was a time I trusted my instincts.
Yeah.
I've had too much Diet Coke today. I'm just flying. I'm just.
I love it.
Well, thank God that you're okay and that was fine. I mean, what a story. Hey, who was your favorite person to work with, Sally, when you were on TV? It's a loaded question because you worked with a lot of different personalities over the years, but I'm just curious to think of like who's some of your favorite people that you worked with.
Oh, Billy Hillgrove. Billy Hillgrove.
Which was my idol growing up to get into broadcasting.
You know who became one of my dearest friends? Lynn Cullen, obviously, because she came there about 9 months after I was there, and we both came from smaller markets, and we came up together. And then she went into radio, and I stayed in television. But someone who became my closest friend, and her daughter I'm really close to, and she ended up going to Cleveland and doing a lot of substituting for Spencer Christian, and then she went to Colorado. Now she's the CEO of a nonprofit. I don't know if you remember Susan Davies. She was a meteorologist, and she was amazing. She got her master's in environmental science, and then that's how she got her seal. And she became one of my closest friends, and still is to this day. I was supposed to go and see her in June, and now I can't, and I'm really upset. And her husband, Bill Beagle, is just a prince. Yeah, they're. I actually considered retiring in Colorado because of Susan and Bill and Beeks and their daughter Elizabeth. Although Elizabeth is going to Brandeis in Massachusetts, and I don't know if she'll come back and live in Colorado. But now she's back there because of. But yeah, I would say of all of the people I've worked with, Lynn became a very dear friend, and Susan became a very dear friend because we were both really, we loved the outdoors. We were athletic. She really taught me how to really ski, and she loved to hike, and we had a lot in common. And so I miss her a lot. I do.
Here's a question from Mark, Sally. Did you ever think of going to another station in Pittsburgh during your career? Or
No.
were you ever offered? Is that going on a lot behind the scenes where
No, and probably because my agent wanted me to there was a period, but I was too old at that point. Okay. They weren't going to take an anchor that old. Trust me. During once the decision was made in 1986, and I turned my back on WCBS and chose this, it was kind of like the road not taken. That was when my agent saw that ambition was not necessarily part of my DNA, and so.
Well, yeah, especially for Pittsburgh, what a strange time when you see, because Don Cannon, did he go to WTAE for a little bit? When you see these anchors and these people that you recognize so much, maybe it's just for Pittsburgh, but when you see them go to another station, you think, wait a second, that's like, you can't do that.
Oh, no, I never felt that way. In many instances when they did it, it was something that they had to do. Okay. And so I've never begrudged anybody doing something like that. Absolutely not. Yeah. No. I mean, I may have thought of it at one point, but at a certain point, you're thinking about your retirement. You're thinking about what you want to do with your retirement, and so you become very practical about what is the best course of action, and since wildlife conservation, zoology was what my great passion was besides sports. Mm-hmm. The pension that I was going to receive was substantial enough that it made no sense to go to another market.
Okay.
None.
A station within town.
Huh?
or even
No. Wait, excuse me. I said another market. There was a point where I had just started doing the started doing the Steelers primetime. Back then we called it Steelers primetime. And Tony Zarella, oh God, whom I adored, he was 14 years younger, and he would flirt. And I actually thought, God, 14 is way too young, Sally. But oh God, and I was broken up. I had broken up with the man that I'd been with for 7.5 years. And but I was too much of a chicken. But anyway, Tony was my partner and my co-host, and someone from Fox Sports. It was Fox was just getting into sports, and someone from a headhunter from Fox called Tony and asked him who I was and wanted my name. And so I called my agent and I said, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You could get me a job as a reporter at ESPN. I'd be willing to start over. And she said, are you crazy? Do you know what you'd make?
Yeah.
And she said, no. And remember this, an agent is also is not representing the station, but if you had become what I had become at that point, it made no sense, and I was being ridiculous. And so I also wanted so badly to get married again. And I said, I'm not finding anybody here. I want to go to another market. I don't care if I have to be a reporter, just so that I could meet new people and meet somebody else, because this isn't working here. And there was, and that was before matches, but anyway. And she said, Sally, that's a stupid reason to move to another market, is to find a guy.
Find some more.
She wouldn't listen to me on that. She didn't listen to me.
Sally, what was one of your favorite interviews that you ever did?
Jane Goodall, without question.
Oh, there you go.
And I was with her for a half an hour, maybe about 20 minutes before we actually were able to do the interview. We were kind of waiting and what have you. And I just thought she was amazing. I just really, I was so honored, and I fell all over myself. I was so excited. And we talked about things and we laughed and then, and I had read her book, and it was, I would say that was my favorite. But no, there's so many. You're just asking me off the cuff.
That's a good one. I mean, what you just mentioned.
Yeah. I loved interviewing Ted Koppel, but I tried to make him be funny, and he doesn't like to be made to do anything. And then the interview almost went off the rails. And then I realized this is not working. And so I changed tactics and began to ask him questions about the ethics of news. Mm-hmm. And then you could see him lean in and start to become interested. I interviewed Oprah 4 different times.
Oh, wow.
One of the times it was when she made Beloved. And I had interviewed Jonathan Demme, who's dead now, the guy who was the director for Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
And then I interviewed, and we started talking about kind of the theory of film and what have you. And I was it was when they have these gangbangs where they're the 20 largest markets that had Oprah. And at that time, we were still a larger market. And it was in the 90s, like 94, 95. And so there were 2 days I was with her. By the second day, she said, listen, we don't have to, just stay here. I want to talk to you. And we talked for an hour about film. So,
wow.
Yeah, people criticize her. We have some people who've interviewed her. I always got along with her fabulously. And she actually was going to have me on her show in 2002. She had a small heart problem, and they were going to do a show on heart disease. And they called me, and because there had been an article in the Post-Gazette, and I was supposed to fly up there, and I was going to be in the audience, where the person's in the audience and they talk to them and what have you. And I ended up having unstable angina, and I ended up in not in ICU, but I ended up in the ER and then up in the cardiac unit with unstable angina. And so we taped it. And then I was on with tape. And when she said, "Thank you, Sally, very much," on camera, you could see she remembered who I was. So.
Yeah, how interesting. How
Yeah,
interesting.
very interesting.
And this is a name that probably rings a bell. Sharon DiNardo says, Sally, be well, and the DiNardo family loves and misses you.
Oh, I love and miss them too. We are supposed to have dinner. Sharon, we're supposed to have dinner. You and Doug and the whole group of us. I miss him very much. I do. We used to yell at each other a lot.
You and Joe DiNardo?
Joe, yeah, because and his son Jeff, who was with him a lot, near his last several years, would hear us yelling at each other. It was almost always about the Steelers. We disagreed about things about the Steelers.
Okay, so this is like me and Ed when we're on the phone together. We're screaming at each other about should Tomlin went for it on 4th down. That was you and Joe.
Well, actually, the disagreement was generally over Tomlin. I was a supporter of everything Tomlin did.
Yeah. Oh, really? Do you still feel that way?
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's a great coach.
Sally, I'm a big Coach T fan too, so I'm with you.
Good for you. Am I talking too much? How long was this supposed to be?
This was great. This was great, Sally.
We've got about 8 minutes left here.
I mean, I'm exhausted because I really did. I've had about a half a liter of Diet Coke. So
well, you and Brian have something in common. Then he's a big Diet Coke guy.
But I'm like.
Oh, you're starting to feel it. That's the zone you want to get to with Diet Coke and coffee.
So, do you have any other questions from people?
Yes, I have. Let me go in the email.
That are appropriate.
Right, that of course are appropriate.
They don't have to be appropriate.
Ken said, I met David Johnson once in a bathroom. Any comment on that, Sally?
I have not met David Johnson in a bathroom, but I've been to David Johnson's home. He has a beautiful home in Squirrel Hill, he and his wife, Nancy, and I've been to a party at their home. I love David. He's a great guy.
Wants to know, what's your sandwich at Wendy's?
What?
What's your favorite sandwich at Wendy's? Because you do love the fast food.
I used to go there all the time.
Your cardiologist can't like it.
You know what? It's just a plain old, and I shouldn't eat it because it's beef, and I'm trying to not eat cattle because cattle are bad for the environment. Right. They produce more CO2 with the methane that comes from their bodies than cars do. You should not eat cattle. Anyway, but I do. I went and had a McDonald's quarter pounder the other day because meat has zinc, and I decided I needed lots of zinc for my immune system.
Sal, you mentioned earlier that.
Wait a minute. But my favorite sandwich at Wendy's is the double.
The number 2.
Yeah.
The number 2.
It's the
but
number
at Lent, I like the cod. I like the cod at Lent.
Sally, what TV show is your favorite right now?
So I was going to ask. Yep.
And it was really awful. It was the way it ended just broke my heart because, families are difficult. And my father died when I was 14 and their father died when they were 17. And there's so much of that is the same. Their father died really suddenly and my father died really suddenly of a heart attack. This Is Us is one of my favorite shows.
That's your favorite show?
Me and my wife watch it every week.
I'm also a huge Outlander fan.
Okay.
I am still going through withdrawal from guess what show?
Tiger King?
I won't watch that. Let's not go down that road.
The Sopranos?
No.
What?
Well, I love animals and I love strange animals. So what do you think would be my favorite show?
Strange animals.
Strange animals show.
Steve Irwin?
Huh?
Oh. The Crocodile Hunter? No.
Game of Thrones!
Oh, Game of Thrones. Oh.
Well, I was in love with the dragons. I was in love with the CGI
Crocodile Hunter. What was
I love the dire wolves because I love wolves. I love canids. And the Battle of the Bastards, that scene with the horses they were so careful with those horses. They had a horse master who was a woman who was amazing. And those scenes were not CGI. I loved Kit Harington and Amelia Clark. And I was okay with the ending. I was okay with the last season. And I was watching the last season on a little iPad in a hotel in Prague.
Crying in your hotel room?
Huh?
Crying in your hotel room?
Yeah, I was. Well, I mean, yeah, I was. I knew it was going to end that way, but I thought it was sort of an appropriate ending. And I disagreed with everybody that said that it was such a pivot. No, it wasn't. What were you watching? You weren't watching the same show that I was watching. I know I loved Game of Thrones because I loved the spectacle of it.
Okay.
Good show.
So yeah, it was my favorite show. Now I'm not as crazy about Westworld.
Sally, you watch them all. I'm very impressed. You watch everything.
No, I watched Walking Dead first. I quit when they mashed up Glenn's head with a baseball bat. I quit then. I watched it the whole time and then I quit. I said, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't like that. Have you ever seen Altered Carbon on Netflix?
No. What's it about?
The first one, it's a science fiction thing. It's too hard. Have you watched Hunters with Al Pacino on Amazon Prime?
No.
You know,
no, you got me beat.
That's very good.
I just watch
recommendations. We're gonna check them out.
What?
I watch reruns of WTAE at night.
What did you say?
I watch reruns of your old newscast at night.
Oh, God. That is just so weird. I love movies. Oh my God, I love movies. Oh, I watched The Invisible Man. I spent $20 to watch it, because they were streaming it because of the virus. I hate scary movies. Hate them. So, oh my God, it's dark in here. It is dark in my house.
It is.
You can't even see my face. I need to turn the light on.
When we started, the sun was still out. Now it's setting. So.
Oh my God, do you want me to turn a light on? We're almost done.
We're almost done. Hey, Sally, here's a few things. My friend Larry runs a company called Dinner by Heather, and they want to make a meal for you. So I'll connect you via email. And he said they're cattle free.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll send it to you.
Jessica says, hello, Sally. Do I have to pay for it?
No, you don't have to pay for it. It's on
I'll pay for it.
We'll take care of it.
Do you spray? Do you spray your money when you get your money out of the Mac machine?
I'm trying to use a credit card now everywhere I go because I don't want to use cash.
No, but when you have to give cash to somebody, I sprayed $250 worth of bills in my car.
With what?
With the bacteria. And then I let all the money dry out.
What's it called again?
What?
What's it called again?
Bactrikill. BACTROKILL.
Wow, Sally, this is unbelievable. I don't know if we'll ever see you in public again.
No. So yes, right? He can bring me food.
Yes. Well, Sally Wiggin, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know you didn't have to do this. I'm sure you have more fun things to do in quarantine.
No. Actually, do you know what? I have so been looking forward to this. This has made my day.
Oh, well, it was great to meet you. And thank you for the time. And be safe. And everyone do your part and keep Sally safe and stay in your houses.
Oh, no. Keep everybody else safe. I'm old. My time is done.
No, Sally, no.
Thank
you so much, Sally. Have a great time.
I love you guys.
Oh,
we love to go out to dinner. We'll have to go to dinner at your favorite place.
Done.
Okay?
We'll set it up.
I mean it. You get in touch with me.
I'm going to email you tonight. I'm going to think about it tonight. I'm going to email you tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Sally.
Thanks, Sally. Bye.
Bye.
Sally Wiggin. Wow. What a nice lady.
That was phenomenal. That was the best 60 minutes. If you just joined us now, go back and watch it. It was quite the entertaining hour. And we just sit here and listen, man. We just ask her one question and just let her go. It's an awesome lady. Awesome lady.
Listen, this is like Yinzer story time when Rick was on and Sally, who were just great people. And you just sit here and you're like, how do you interrupt Sally when she's telling these stories about Don Cannon? And Paul Long. It's
Well,
great.
I got yelled at. I tried to interrupt her there towards the end, and I got yelled at. She's like, hold on. Wait a minute. I got an answer still. And I felt horrible. But
yeah. Well, look, you need to be a better journalist when we have these people on.
That's right.
It's funny, in the middle, Norton, and I guess we'll wrap up, but in the middle of that interview, my computer crashed. And so I'm upstairs in my house and I sprint down to my wife's computer in the kitchen. And I am so fat now because of this quarantine. I'm so just cumbersome and lumbering. And Marcy runs out of the bedroom where she's watching TV. She thought like one of the kids had like fallen down the steps and got her. She's like, is everyone okay?
Well, she was thrown off by that. Sally was. She was like, what happened to Brian? Where'd Brian go? And I'm like, well, you're in good hands with me. I was like, talk about like your favorite anchor that you worked with. And she's like, what? Where's Brian?
Well, she is awesome. She is awesome. Thank you. Let's wrap up real fast. Dinner at KFC with Sally is a life goal, said Chad Riley. Chad, I agree with you. And Ed, we have to take Sally up on her offer for dinner.
Dude, when this quarantine thing's over, absolutely. We have to do it. 100%.
Willie James, who is a local documentarian, he'd like to come on the show. We'll have you on next week, Willie. No problem, man. Scott Stoner says that Yinzer's story time is the perfect way to describe this show. I agree, man. I think it's a beautiful thing. And if we all have to be trapped together, why not do it here every night at 7? How about that?
That's
hey,
it.
Tomorrow on the show, Ed, the guy who, speaking of the Tiger King, Sally said she won't watch it, but the mural out in the east side that had the Tigers, the guy, Kevin Raymer, will be on with us. He is the guy who spray painted Joe Exotic next to those Tigers. So we'll find out what he was thinking there. And do you have to get a permit to do that? Is he on the run? It's going to be great.
Can't wait.
What else? Anything else, Ed, before we say goodnight on Friday?
That's it. Wrap it up. Here we go.
Good night, Ed. And good night, everybody. And thank you for watching and goodbye.
Get your mask on. There you go.